Morning, folks. Welcome to Mark's Morning Check-in. It's Thursday morning, so and it looks fantastic out there. I was out there letting the dogs out. The weather looks fantastic. It's not like yesterday. There's no rain out there, which is good. So I'm putting my other channel live as well, and I'm just waiting for the Instagram to come up as well. Instagram always takes a few minutes longer to actually go live. So and there we are. We are now live on our Instagram channel, so which is fantastic. So no matter where you listen to us from this morning, and no matter what part of the world, we've had people from all over the world listen to our show, from the Riviera to the States, through Ireland, of course, and through the UK. And people, we've been doing this show since the 6th of January. So, so thanks very much for continuing to tune in. We have some long-time watchers and people who are running their own businesses and people who are starting their own businesses listen to us every morning. So as I said, the weather's fantastic and welcome on board. I want to talk to you this morning called what I call double culture in a company. And anyone who runs their own business or leads from the top will know that there's a challenge when you work for yourself. And the challenge is you work very long hours, extremely long hours, and even with the culture you develop in the business. But the real challenge is your culture at home. If you're used to, before you go out and work for yourself, if you're used to coming home every evening at 5, 6, 7 o'clock, you're used to playing with the children, you're used to helping out in the house, and that's your house culture. That you're part of different things that happen within the family and within the family network. The challenge when you go to work for yourself, or you get a job that takes a lot of your time, is you now have two conflicting cultures. You have the culture of you at work. And I've been there where you're working, you start work very early in the morning. You leave the house around 6:30, 7 o'clock. You're in work for 7:30. You're working all day. You're trying to develop the business. You might be getting home till 8 or 9 o'clock at night when the kids may be in bed. And that can lead to an awful lot of turmoil and problems within the family. But also, because you have two cultures, and here's the hard bit, you probably love what you're doing. You probably love building the business. You probably love generating sales, finding new customers. You probably love managing people. You probably love that the business has gone from 0 to maybe 100,000 or 200,000 or 300,000 or more. And you love that because that's what makes you during the day, keeps you alive, keeps you motivated, and keeps you as a business person really, really interested and focused on what you're doing. But in the other culture, it's the culture you have at home, where if you're not there, all the stuff you're missing out on, and the stuff that you know you should be doing, but because the culture of your company is that you love it and you love developing it, it's conflicting with your culture at home. And that's why many self-employed people, and many people working for themselves or leading from the front, suffer from mental health problems. They suffer from anxiety because they feel they are missing something. And they feel guilty. They feel guilty if they're home too early, that they're not working on their business. And they feel guilty if they stay in work, that they should be at home, helping with the family dynamics, helping with the children, helping with household chores, or just being present at home. They feel guilty when they're not there. But equally, they feel guilty when they're not on work because they love both situations. They love what they do. They love their company. They love their business. They love that that's something that they've started from scratch, that they're building up. And they can see in front of their eyes that they're building it. And his business is moving along and is growing. And it's growing legs. And it's starting to walk and talk and gallop. And that's very exciting when you're running your own business, when all that is happening. But if you're then coming home in the evening time very late to your partner or to your wife or to your husband, and they're annoyed because you're late, and because you're late, you're tired, and you can't get involved in an awful lot of family dynamics that happens at home. And that's where double culture start to knock heads. And it's a phrase I coined a while ago when it was mentioned. I mentor some people, business people, and they were having the challenge of during the day they were loving what they're doing, but were guilty in the evening time when they're still in work, still working late, still doing the paperwork, still doing the accounts, still trying to figure out what next step is, or maybe packing the packages to go out in the post next day, getting the products ready. They were working late, getting that done. And they felt good that they were getting that done. They felt great that they had a business and that business was growing. And they really, really were having a lot of fun doing that. But equally, they felt guilty that they weren't at home with the family. And that's where double culture knocks heads. And that's a very, very hard thing to manage. And I've been there when we used to manage Indigo, like get into work very, very early in the morning and leave very late at night. And you miss certain things in the family dynamics. And you do feel guilty about it. But the next morning, you're up again and you're out again doing the same thing. Chasing the business. Excuse me. We drinking my honey. The next morning, you're out there doing the same thing again. Chasing the business and doing it all over again. And when does it end? Well, for some people, where it ends is that maybe the relationship at home and at work doesn't work out and one of them has to give. That's the dramatic end for some people. For other people, they learn to manage both. As the business develops, they make it a priority not to stay and work so late every single night. They make it a priority to be at home at a certain time in order that they can get involved in the family dynamics. But it's a hard struggle for a lot of people because they still feel guilty that they've left the office early. Even though the business is thriving and the business is doing well, they still feel guilty. And equally, they feel guilty if they're not at home. So that double culture has to be managed extremely well. And as I said, that's what can lead to burnout. It can lead to people having mental breakdowns, getting very anxious, panic attacks, all that type of stuff it can lead to because you're trying to manage, in a way, two different worlds. And if you're a partner or spouse or husband or wife is not involved in the business, then you are managing two different worlds. The world where you occupy during the day, where you probably may be the boss and you control that world and you're working hard on developing that world. But the world in the afternoon or in the evening time or the weekends is your family world. And trying to manage both of them can be very taxing on you physically and mentally. And it takes a lot to manage them, especially in the early days of a business or when a business is going through a lot of trouble. And that's why a lot of people who run businesses find it very hard to bring the problems home, to talk it out with their spouse or partner, which is usually the best thing to do. Because when you talk things out, you get it out from here into there. And it's an important thing to do. But many business owners don't do it. And that's what leads to many business owners having serious mental health issues and some sadly taking their own lives. Because they don't want to bring their challenges and their problems from the world of business home to the world of the house. They're fighting hard to keep them both separate. But sometimes keep them both separate, it's not the right thing to do. It's the wrong thing to do. If you merge them and get them both involved in the business life and the family life, it can go on from strength to strength. If you can honestly talk to your partner at home about the challenges you're facing at business, it makes a huge difference to your mental health and to how you think about the business, and even helps you with your clarity on where you want to bring the business. And also the wins then in the business, the new accounts, the new business, the new turnover, that is of more value when you can bring that good news home. Because you've also brought the bad news home. But with the bad news, you both of you are working together to solve that bad news as a family unit and as a partnership unit or a marriage unit. So if you are facing the challenge now of this double culture, of going out in the morning, feeling you have to look happy, feeling you have to have a certain persona, feeling you have to look a certain way, you have to talk a certain way, you have to act a certain way. And then when you go home in the evening, all that persona is gone, and now you're back to who you are. But who you are may be a very tired person, worn out, exhausted, and that's not who you really want to bring home to your family and your children, or your husband or your wife or your partner. You want to bring home the dynamic person as well, and give as much time and energy to the family as you do to your work. And that's a very, very hard thing to manage, extremely hard. And many business people cannot manage that all the time. And that's why they need to find the shoulder to cry on. And I mentioned that in my new book, The Shoulder to Cry On. You need a neck like a jockey's bollocks to be an entrepreneur. And I mentioned that in my new book for the simple reason that everyone should find someone that they can talk to, someone that they can tell the truth of what's happening within their world, within their business, within their family. Someone that won't judge them, but may give them advice, but someone who's there to listen and listen to them. Because most times, all we want is someone to listen, so we get what's buggers in here out there, so we can start to see it and formulate it and play with it and work out the best way forward. That's what we're all trying to do. So find that one person who you can truly trust to say how things are going. Can help you manage that double culture? It really can. It really can. Because at some stage, if you don't manage it right, if you don't talk to someone, if you don't confide in someone, something is going to give. And no business is worth destroying your family home life. No business. So something is going to give, and you need to manage that and manage it well. And it could mean that if your business is going well, that you step aside and put someone else in the role of managing director, someone else who will manage the business on a day-to-day basis, and you have slightly less involvement in it in order to make sure your home life is protected and works well for you and all your family. And that is a tough one. That's an extremely tough one. So if I know a lot of people out there and they were struggling with the double culture. They've left the house now. And they may have left the house now, they're on the bus, they're on the train, they're cycling in, they're in the car, whatever. And maybe a sigh of relief that you're now left the house and you're excited because you're going to work. You're excited because you're going into your own business. You're building something, you're developing something. But is that excitement the same when you're coming home? When you're coming to that hall door, that front door, is that excitement the same? The answer there is, it should. Yes, it should be. It definitely should be. But how you manage it, and it's important that you, as a business owner, manage that double culture correctly. Find your shoulder to cry on. Make time for both the business and the family. We know it cannot be of equal time as the business is building, but at some point in time, it can be equal time, or if not, family life has more time. Because you have to ask yourself, why you started this business? Why did you get involved in this business? You got involved to have a better lifestyle, to give more opportunities to your family and your children. You got involved to make things better for yourself, to go on more holidays, maybe have a nicer home, maybe have a better car. Why you want a better car is beyond me. But some people, that's their symbol of success, is driving a flashy car. And everyone, there you go. But anyway, so ask yourself, why did you start this business? And why are you running this business? And it may help you then manage the double culture. It may help you manage the anxiety, the mental health, and the stress levels involved in living in the world with double culture. Well, thanks for joining me this morning, folks. Hope you found that of interest. And don't forget, we're here every weekday at 7:30 a.m. We're here early. But if you missed any of our shows, it's all on podcast. You'll find everything on podcast. Just type in Mark Beggs wherever you get your podcast. All our shows since the 6th of January are up on podcast. We cover a whole range of topics that I know you're going to find something very interesting. You're going to find them all very interesting, actually. And with some great interviews up there with some fantastic entrepreneurs who are doing incredible things out there that may motivate you, may help you, may give you some pointers. They're all up there on our podcast, and they're also all up there on our YouTube channel at Mind's Eye Education. So make sure you hit the follow button or the subscribe button on YouTube. It doesn't cost you a penny. It's all free, right? So if you hit the follow button on TikTok, hit the follow button on LinkedIn, Instagram, or YouTube, and hit the subscribe button, there's no cost whatsoever. Or the podcast, because it just means that every time we put up something new, you get a little message saying there's some new stuff up there that may be of interest to you. So just make sure you hit that follow button. I really appreciate it. And thanks very much for your time today, and for everyone who's listened to our podcast. They've gone through the roof. There's a lot of people listening to them now, so I really appreciate that. And a lot of people from all around the world, including the States and Finland and Hungary, and people from countries that I didn't expect people to listen to. There's people coming from all over the world listen to the podcast, which is absolutely fantastic. So thanks a lot, folks. Have a great day, and I hope things go really well for you today. I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow, Friday. Take care.